Hello, folks. We're back. Let's let's get the last leg of this journey on the road. I am ready to kick some Crow King butt. So
Heck yeah. So I think I think what we see as the ship draws closer to the Crowing King's kingdom is a lot of the same white fog. But as one draws closer, one can kind of make out like vague shapes of rock and oh actually no, it probably is sticks and wood. Much like a crow's nest. And as the ship sort of drifts closer, like those sticks come more into focus, and you can see there's like lots of it's almost like a bit sort of sci-fi-ish, for if you were to picture kind of like sort of like a Death Star, like sort of shape, spherical shape with like lots of docking hole stations in it. It's like that, but like sort of sticks and wood. um
Death Star made out of sticks and wood. All right.
my mind went there.
No, it's cool. It's cool. But I did not expect it. But all right. Is it like how big is are we talking?
I think it becomes bigger like the closer you get to it. And at a distance, it perhaps sort of looks like it's the space of, like an apartment block, but you get close, like, oh shit, this thing is actually quite huge. And it appears to be sort of floating in the air. You can't quite make out like a tree or anything holding it up. It seems to be sort of suspended via magic. Um, and the boat drifts through one of these holes. I think you can kind of sort of hear the clack of bone crows and like you could hear like sort of wings on the breeze and sort of these like sort of black dots of crows as they sort of circle around the place the ship sort of navigates around them. And eventually it comes to a stop at once it sort of gets I think what we see is like we sort of go through this hole and kind of like it gets quite dark and dim, and you can hear like these sticks scraping across like the side, the bow of like this ship. And it comes to a point where it can no longer go any further, and it releases the rope ladder onto sort of it again looks a bit like a dock, just a bit of various like sticks woven together. Um, and as you disembark, you see someone who looks akin to the mediator from the bazaar. They have a their mask looks more like a sort of theater mask, where like sort of one side of it is up and smiling and the other side is like turned down and sort of torn, somewhat grotesque with like grief and sadness.
Eek. Terrifying.
um and they greet you almost as if they were expecting you. Um, they say, welcome. It's always a pleasure to have visitors at the Hall of Masks.
They're expecting us, Faye.
Yeah. Okay. Uh, it's nice to meet you. My name is Faye. These are my friends. They can introduce themselves.
I see. Well, I should introduce myself as the mask maker. If one is to partake in the activities in the Hall of Masks, I would advise you wear these. And from the robes, they produce a stack of masks. And they hold it out to Bima and Thunderbolt and Faye.
What did it look like?
Yes, the one to Faye, I think it's the spitting image of the mask that you made with Sunbrook, even though that was left like well long ago at the Bazaar. It has that snake that sort of like a crown atop its head. It has like the treasure theme sort of like barnacle stuff glued onto it. Right down to the last detail is the mask that you made, and it's presented to Faye. The snake, you swear for a second, winks at you, and its tongue sort of like slithers out and back again, and then it's gone.
I know that Faye's grandmother's amulet was incorporated into the mask originally. Is a copy of it there?
Yes, yeah. That the copy of that snake is like, yes, prominent on the mask, and that copy, like that snake figure winks at you. But I would love to know. So the mask maker passes this mask to Faye, and as they do, they say, "This mask represents what is truly within your heart. It represents your best self that one ought to be in society." What does Thunderbolt's mask look like, and what does Beema's mask look like?
I think Beema's mask looks a lot like a little girl. And I think Beema looks at it briefly and goes like, "Well, this is garbage," and she just tosses it over one shoulder. I mean, it looks like a porcelain like portrait of someone, like almost like a Victorian death mask.
Oh, creepy.
Nice.
Very cool.
Thunderbolts is a piece of ham with eye holes.
Just dropping the truth bombs, okay.
It's very good.
You brought the Victorian death mask. I had to follow a Victorian death mask. I had to bring it.
You're like, mine is ham with holes. Only in gaming, folks. I love it.
So good.
Faye holds hers in front of her and lights it like a cigarette. And just like holds it out so that it like burns, like so that she can make sure it burns all the way. Like she doesn't want any of it left.
Oh, that is so good. I think like we zoom out a little bit and we see like the smoke trailing off of the mask like into this thick mist. And you hear like that sort of empty whistle of wind, and it sort of reminds you that there's like nothing beneath you for miles and miles and miles. And the mask maker lingers in that silence and looks to Faye and says, "Never in the hundreds of years that I have maintained this position have I seen such disrespect and such disregard for one's duty, for one's role that they ought to play."
We're not here for the Hall of Masks. We're here for the Crowing King.
Well, who do you think owns the Hall of Masks?
Yeah, the guy that you're supposed to take us to. We're not going to put on costumes. It's not Halloween.
I think like they steeple their fingers and they take that sort of insufferable like breath in that just sort of, you can tell this is like, children. And they say, "I do not believe I misspoke, but if I did, one can only procure entry into the Hall of Masks if one is willing to partake in such a system. You may only be the Grand Council of the Crowing King if you..."
Oh, he said the magic phrase! I think Beema just looks at him and says, "The only way, huh? Would you care to make a wager? Because you see, I am not children. I am Beema, the greatest thief in the land!"
It's very good. Was that a move you were trying to trigger there?
Oh, no, I'm about to. I'm about to find the secrets of a place, but I'm not quite there yet. Almost. It's just that he was like, "The only way to get into the Hall of Masks." I was like, "The only way, you say?"
And I think like the smiling portion of the mask sort of like you see it sort of twists downward into like this really sick grimace, and it says, "I would take that bet only because I know how foolish it is."
All right. What do you give me if I do this?
Well, what does your heart desire?
I point at his mask.
I think he looks like a little bit taken aback and raises a hand to like say mask. Says, "You would demand my face?"
I will take your title with it.
Oh.
I think that like the mask eyes narrow.
Oh, I think Bima steps into his space. She goes, "What's the matter, chicken?" Watch me roll a 2. It's gonna be amazing.
Why is Frank Winston talk shit roll Chris?
Oh, wrong shirt. I was close. Yeah.
And I think like we get that shot of like I think Beam is probably a little bit shorter, so we get this.
Oh yeah, she's totally doing
yeah.
I don't know. There's a wonderful artist called Miguel Mercado who has this amazing cover for it's a comic book cover for Gwen Stacy, but it's Gwen Stacy who's like this tall, standing up to Kingpin, who's like towering over her, and that's exactly the like scene I'm picturing. Is this like little girl like, "I'm gonna take your mask," and this form in robes with like very very elaborate sort of like facial mask. Yeah, so
Very cool. I think like the cloak that this person wears like sort of bristles with the wind as like you stare each other down and they say, "I will make that bet."
all right. Since we are talking shit and rolling crits, I've got the cover here. Let me see if I can. I'll put the address in chat here. We'll see if that works. Boop. All right. Yeah. So I think Bima is gonna get out her sack, pull out some like grappling hooks and other nonsense, and start getting ready to do her thief thing. And she'll look at Faye and basically be like, "See you in a bit," and then just like drop right off the edge. And I'm gonna see if I can wind my way through all the sticks and stones and figure out a path into the Hall of Mass that I can take us through.
Oh, very cool.
But yeah, I think I'm finding a path and then like bringing the rest of the team in, and then finding a path and bringing the rest of the team in. If I get stuck, I'm gonna see if my little teapot friend can help me. And now we get to see if we get some collaboration from the dice here.
Yeah.
All right, so help me out. Is this just like a 2d6 roll straight roll?
If a belief applies to what you're doing, you get 3d6 and can take the 2 highest.
Oh, that would be amazing. Let me see if a belief applies. Yeah, you know what? I think Bima is really, really angry. Like, breathe out your feelings like a dragon breathes out fire, I think applies here. She's just
Nice.
like, bad action is better than no action, so let's go. Let's see.
I love it. Yes, please feel free to go ahead and roll 3d6 and take the 2 highest.
Boop. Hey, it's an 8. That's not
Hey,
bad.
I'll do it. Yeah, totally.
So, roll when you seek a location secrets. On a 7+, what do you find and how do you discover it? And on a 7 to 9, also ask the guide what keeps me from. It says what keeps me from recovering it. I think that applies to like hidden treasures. I'm mostly looking for secrets here.
Yeah, we can figure that out.
All right, that sounds
It's all
good. But on a 7+, I think it's actually my shadow that helps me find the way, right? Like it.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, it provides like it tugs on my foot and goes in a specific direction, and between the two of us, with me doing the clambering and climbing and slipping through, and it like at one point like maybe it goes to the other side of a door and like unlatches it for me or something, and yeah, we teamwork this.
That is very cool.
So that's what I do, but something keeps me from like either going all the way or recovering it or something like that. I don't know what the.
Yeah, so I think like you navigate these corridors and the sort of very stick-like, cavernous-like qualities of this castle, and you follow your shadow's instinct, but get stopped when you open a door, and what you see is like this very decrepit courtyard. There's like cobwebs, there's a table in the middle, and the dishes look spoiled and rotten. There are bone crows like picking at some of the remnants, and there is this very grand but decrepit throne at the head of the table, and you can see like the skeletal form of like a really big sort of like broad chested stomached bone crow like clacking at its subjects. And then I think if you stick your head through, you see it's like noise and merriment and light, and there's like a band playing, and the food looks splendid, and the fountain in the middle is like it looks like one of those sort of like chocolate fountains with like sort of pastel bubbles cascading down it, and like laughter, and you see a peacock that looks very much like Archduke Peacock. And you see like people sharing stories and like laughing, and like they're having
But then when you pull back, it's again the bone courtyard, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I think this is the Hall of Masks, but I'm not sure which one we're supposed to step into. I'm not actually pretty sure that I can step into the real one anyway. Ideas, Faye?
Let's step in.
I have a question. Well, I have like 3 questions. So let's go through them real quick. Question 1. Do you think you could burn away the illusion with your fire?
You're reading my mind, yes.
Excellent. Question 2. Do you want me to tie a rope to us just in case we need to make our way back?
You're the thief. If you think that's what we need to do, then that's what we should do.
A smart thief is always prepared. And, yes, I have my own beliefs, apparently. I'm like, should we all go in, or should we keep some of us in reserve?
Does Thunderbolt have an opinion on that?
Yeah.
I feel like it's the thing Thunderbolt would care about.
Yeah, Thunderbolt, I think maybe says, maybe Bima should stay out here and, like, secure our exit.
But then I don't win my bet.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Just don't worry about it. We'll let Gia like hold this end of the rope. She's got magic too, in case she needs to like magic us out of the way. And in case something happens to the rope, she can create stuff out of paper. Like, I think we'll be all right.
Yeah, let's all go in.
I think Bima says, "All right, here's the deal. You and Thunderbolt take the lead. I'll be in the shadows." And she gives you a wink.
Cool.
Was that a subtle merry-go-round call?
Yeah,
I love it. All right, let's do it.
We're getting good at this.
Cool. Yeah, I'm totally rocking my "a cat may look at a king" move. Like, that's.
Oh, heck yeah.
All right, tell us a little bit about that move, the Judd.
Roll when you first introduced to a member of royalty. On a 7+, what story have you already shared with your friends about this royal? On a 7 to 9, what faux pas do you make in front of the royal? On a 6, what crime? On a 6 or less, what crime does the royal believe I'm guilty of?
Oh, sweet. Yeah, I think this is a really good move to hit into this scene. So I think like we'll let the outcome sort of dictate how you like either you gracefully enter the space or it's very embarrassing.
An engagement roll, perhaps. All right.
Yeah, it's like totally. So again, you can roll 2d6 or 3d6 and take the 2 highest if a belief applies.
I think it's do what's right, not what you're told, right? Because
oh heck yeah, you were told not to go in here without a mask.
So is that 3d6 keep the highest? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, 3d6, 2 highest.
7.
Not bad. Okay, so on a 7+, ask the hang on. On a 7+, yes. What story have you already shared with your friends about them? On a 7
so I think we can wrap this up to what faux pas do you make in front of the royal? Because I think I tell the story in front of the royal. I think it's like
nice.
I think I like stage whisper. If you get him angry enough, he will shit himself.
Oh my god! I think how I envision this is like because it's in front of the royal. Like you go through like the bubble space, right, and like enter out into the this grand like sort of dance hall, and there's like a like hush, there's like more people enter without masks on, and then we hear that like you hear the just
Yeah.
make him shit himself.
Well, if you make him angry, right? Okay, excellent.
Yes, yeah. And when you bust through like into this whole space, it does look very grand and magical. Ooh. And I think I think when you say that, you feel like the lamps in the room like blaze hotter and like the band plays faster, and you can feel aggression and anger in the air around you, but you can't quite see where it's coming from. Or you get the sense that it's coming from like perhaps the empty throne, the throne where you saw this like decrepit looking bone crow king who is seemingly isn't there right now.
So it's an empty throne?
Empty throne. And I think the peacock person you saw when you first popped your head through, the one who looks so much like Archduke Peacock, pushes people out of the way to come forward, and they take down, like, I think they have like one of those masquerade masks with like all the peacock feathers on it, and like their prominent nose sort of like sticks through. They don't take their mask off, but they sort of look at you a little closer and they say, I would watch my words if I were to say such things about our beloved noble. You're lucky that he's not here right now, otherwise I'd have your tongue, and probably more than that too. Who are you? And why do you present yourself faceless in front of us? It's very rude.
I assumed that he was talking to you, Thunderbolt, since you're the one that stage whispered that. But if you want me to jump in his face, I'm happy to.
No, Thunderbolt will say, I'm Thunderbolt.
Oh, I've heard stories about you. I know exactly what you've done.
Sure you've heard stories?
This one's a wolf, everybody. Looks at everyone's like, the wolf of Wolfwood. Anyone thought that would be a pig? What is this?
Wait, your story is that I'm the wolf?
Why, yes. 'Twas reported formerly.
Wow.
I'm not hearing a denial. It must be everybody. We have a wolf in our midst. We best see them out.
You royals suck.
Okay, I guess if that's how we're gonna do it, I think. Are we about to shatter our last belief here, Judd? Because I think we have a belief about is it young girls should not get dirty or some nonsense like that.
Young ladies must never soil their hands or clothes.
Let me see if that's the
you know what gets clothes dirty? Ashes.
Yeah, probably. I think it's one of those moments, right, where like Faye is just like, all right, I guess if you folks just want to play it like this, I think she actually like clambers up on one of the tables and she goes, look at me, all of you nobles, I'm the big, and she kicks like a dish off the table. Bad, kicks a dish off the table. Wolf, and she pushes the fountain over and goes, I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll burn your king down! And she's just gonna unleash a breath of fire at the throne where there's nobody sitting,
So
supposedly.
I love that so much. Awesome. Let's not mind our manners.
Yeah. Hang on 1 second.
No problem.
Oh, what are we rolling? Is it just straight 2d6, and then if you give me
Yes.
advice, I get to re-roll, Judd? Is that the...
Yes,
Yeah,
that's exactly. it.
All right. I
Yeah.
think I can handle this. Here we go. It's an 8. Not bad. We do it, but there's a consequence.
Nice, yeah. On a 7+, how do you overcome the challenge? And on a 7 to 9, how do you falter or go too far in the process?
I think we all know exactly how this goes down, right? Like, I think Faye lets loose and probably like summon so much magic that instead of being like very controlled, it starts like things start lighting on fire, and she's just like, am I still a wolf? So yeah, I think it's just the fact that she meant to basically, like, spook the crow and only burn the illusion, and then, like, be like, yes, I'm a master wizard, but, like, sometimes your feelings get away from you, and sometimes a little too much anger just makes pipes burst, and I think that's the thing that happens here is
Yeah, totally. I think, like, we see, like, the sort of fire catch on the tapestries on the walls, and as they burn away, it's like they reveal that sort of black and gray and, like, sort of drab reality of, like, the Hall of Masks. And I think, like, you hear people, like, these nobles, like, sort of shrieking and, like, fleeing, and as they run to the door and the fire catches them, they just, like, disappear. And then you're left in that room you saw before with a filthy table, Bonkor is picking at pieces. And then you catch sight of the sort of eye sockets that have, like, a blue light in them. And they sort of narrow, I like, in the sort of the Crowing King's head, as you see, like, sort of the Crowing King and, like, all their bony glory on this throne of theirs, picking their teeth.
Never bring a wolf to a dragon fight, I always say.
hello, Bird King.
I think, like, as you say that, and, like, one of the bone crows, like, lands on the top of, like, the throne, and the Crowing King says, "Why? Someone told me that I was going to be treated to a visit from a stranger. A stranger who looks a lot like the people who serve my kingdom. Only you," gestures at Faye, "are made of flesh and bone, not sprockets and wires. I'm not quite sure what you are or why you're here. Or if you're a copy? Or a real girl?"
Of course I'm real.
Of course you're real. You wouldn't exist here if you weren't. You exist here because you're not magic. There's a gravity to you, a weight to you.
I think Faye thumps her staff against the ground. She says, "Could a girl without magic light your illusion on fire?"
I think a girl with access to magic can wield it. But you're nothing without that stuff. You're nothing without... Oh, the dragon helped you, I'm sure. Oh, I see how it is. That dragon. I carved a staff too once when I was young.
What happened to your staff? Actually, you know what? I'm not sure I care, Crowing King. Thunderbolt!
Yeah.
What are we doing here again? Stopping a reign of terror, getting all... What? What was that?
I said democracy.
Okay. Thunderbolt, are you sure about changing the systems of government right now?
I mean, I don't know. I'm not.
Great. You're going to be responsible for getting all the voting set up in all of the towns. Too late. But I think she whirls around, and what she says is like, "Mr. Crowing King, sir, I would really like to go home. And unfortunately, you are the jerk who has stolen all the magic from this place and this kingdom and shoved it into your terrible little nest filled with sticks and stones." So
there you go. You're bringing it all back. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think Faye looks at him and says, "I cannot leave here unless I deal with you, because what you've done is just bad. So, here's the thing. You built a castle made out of wood, and here is a girl that's been taught by a dragon. And by the way, you might think that just because I've been taught by a dragon, that means that I am somehow not a girl with magic. Wrong! What comes out of my chest is 100% mine, and just because somebody helps you doesn't mean that you didn't do a thing! Not everyone can do everything by themselves, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Wow. The Padawan has become the Obi-Wan. This is just amazing.
Being strong on your convictions.
Yeah. All of them?
We're gonna get so sued by Disney.
Okay.
All right.
I'll
So
fight him.
let's actually take a quick look at this and see which convictions we are using here.
Yeah.
Not showing your feelings is the same as lying 100. Do what's right, not what you're told, also 100. Definitely nothing about lies. Breathe out your feelings like a dragon breathes out fire, also true. Sometimes the wrong action is better than no action. I'm not sure this is a wrong action, though.
Interesting.
But what I will say, though, is strength that's earned is better than strength that's stolen is exactly this. And no, I don't think we're setting down rules. I think the girl is just angry. So,
There's
what is
also,
that? 4 or 5?
I think it's 5. We also didn't write a belief for young ladies must never soil their hands or clothes.
Honestly,
right.
I have an opinion about that one. The one that I would suggest, because I think I lost control of my fire, is use your anger. Do not let your anger use you.
Nice.
Oh, that's very good. In that case, yeah, I think it's like 6 dice.
Excellent.
I'll write that. I'll write that one while you do your thing.
You do it.
Oh,
I'm gonna
perfect.
roll
Thank you.
a bunch of dice and hope to beat a 10. I got a 10. Good job, dice.
Oh, heck
You
yeah.
didn't let me down. No crits, but that's okay. There are no crits in this game. So I believe I'm a stand strong in my convictions.
Yeah, so on a 7+, you... Yeah, how do you overcome the challenge? You, like... What does it look like? I'm dying.
So yeah, I think that Faye starts talking, and anytime the, like, crowing king tries to say something, she, like, takes another step closer, and then she, like, puts a foot on his throne, and then she stands up and is, like, on the throne, like, yelling down at him, and, like, anytime, like, the crowing king's like, but what if, she's like, and another thing! And, like, just basically, like, totally lets him have it. And like, at some point, I think Faye, like, completely loses track of even what her argument is, and it's just like, and sometimes when people are jerks and have mean dogs, because, like, there's a bully that, of course, like, in episode 1 was, like, harassing her, she's like, or crows! And then, like, you know, like, goes on to give a big spiel. Some of them are about her life, and sometimes she talks about, like, how, you know, older siblings and younger siblings and then things like that, but, like, she lets it all out. There's just this giant stream of, like, everything she's been feeling and not talking about for, like, weeks now. And then it's just like, and I have a feeling that, like, as she yells, the Crowing King, he shrinks. Until
Oh, that's
finally
really
it's
cool.
just a tiny bird. And then she just looks at him and, like, grabs a hold of his beak. And then she says, at the end of the day, that's all your kingdom is. And she, like, shakes it until, like, all of the rest of the bones fall apart. And she's just holding the actual, like, beak in the skull. She goes, like, all you are is just a mask hanging on a wall.
Oh, heck yeah, totally. I think even, like, it does sort of, like, come down into, like, a sort of, yeah, that sort of masquerade mask with, like, a beak and, like, sort of crow bones. I think that's when you look up and you realize that the whole room around you is transformed. Like, you were so into, like, your feelings and expressing yourself, you didn't realize that as the crow, like, shrank down from your feet, rippling outwards, like, the whole begins to, like, become itself again, and, like, we see a tablecloth manifest over the table, and then, like, the fountain start up again, and, like, rainbow bubbles, like, sort of come into the air, and the people who were there reappear again. I think some of them are, like, sort of come back, sort of part running, others, like, a fingers pointed, like, at Thunderbolt, and as, like, they come to, you realize that their masks are all gone, and they're all kind of in shock of, like, what was happening? Like, they was very confused with what was happening before, like, all of this happened. And they look, as far as you can tell, like, all of there was, like, the peacock fellow was a bit more humble and subdued. everyone looks back to normal. And and atop the throne, you see a familiar figure start to manifest at the top of it. The very alien looking Fey Queen with like the crown that was sculpted like into her head. She begins to manifest there. But everything sort of looks reversed and like flipped around as if it's like a mirror image of her. And she draws herself to her feet very carefully, kind of like a fawn that's just learning to walk again. And the room goes quiet as like she approaches you. And I think she walks past Faye and like, I don't know, Bima's not in the room, is she?
Bima's hiding. I'm sure that Bima's like stealth. But that doesn't mean that she can't like appear if necessary, but yeah.
Yeah, so I think like this mirror image of the Fae Queen approaches Faye. And I don't think she expresses any words. I think like you exchange looks, and that gratitude and thanks is so heavy in her eyes. And she says, "As you have freed me, I would in turn free you. There is something that holds heavy in your heart. So if there is a wish I could grant you to relieve that burden, then surely it is the least I could do."
I mean, is this where we make the wish to go home, Judd?
I think so.
All right. So then I guess that's what Faye says. I think she says like, "Give me just a second to confer with my compatriots," and she'll pull all of her like little travel companions together and basically be like, "Well, it's that time."
Aw. And this, I think, is the time to refer back to my book. I think this is time for each companion to share the final thing they say to the girl before she departs for home. What does Thunderbolt say to Faye, and what does Bima say to Faye?
Wow, I am so proud of you. Watching you shout down that Crow King and burn down his bullshit was really special. I will set up a good democracy. So when you come back to be a wizard, if that's what you decide to do, you'll find a good magical place.
I think Bima's hot take is, well, I guess this is it. You know, she says, I kept my end of the bargain, and she says, I found my shit along the way, so I guess you're off the hook for your end of the bargain. But I think she says, you know, I'm not much for hugs, but, and then she gives, you know, Faye a hug, and then says, okay, so I think now that we're all settled on that, when you go back to your land, remember there is only one heartfelt lesson you need to know. Bima is the greatest thief in the land! Backflip, vanish.
I think Gia looks to Faye, and like you can tell Gia's got that sincerity of like, I'm not gonna cry, I'm not gonna cry, I'm not gonna cry. And then like Faye looks at her, and then she just like breaks down and is like, I'm gonna miss you so much. And if I come visit, I will come visit. And if you like read a book, think of me. And like I think even like rips out a page instead of like sort of yeah. And like, I'm not so bad at goodbye. And then like gives Faye a hug. And I think that the Fae Queen like gestures for Faye to take a seat atop the throne and tells her to close her eyes and count to 3 and think of like, you know, warm and happy thoughts.
In the future, could we have a less monarchical magical system? I mean, I'm just saying in the future, could we have a more like of the people magic? I think like that you're hearing like Thunderbolt saying that as you
oh, totally.
as you head back.
And like that voice becomes like a bit more warped and muted and like echoey as like
Maybe
fate
a magical
transitions.
voting booth. A magical voting booth would be cool, you know?
It's like the Phantom Toll booth, but like for
Lots of
2020.
magical thrones. You never see a magical voting booth. Why is that? Is voting not magical? I would argue it is.
Well,
Yes, indeed.
it's like Faye, he is like this drifting monologue from Thunderbolt is like she fades away from like this world. And when she opens her eyes, I think she's sitting on like one of those like a really big comfy reading chair from like the kids section of the library. And the masks from the stand that she admired on all of her trips to the library are strewn around the floor, and like there's a lot of chaos and like mess and like as to where they're placed. There are books strewn everywhere. It's like a big like whirlwind like hit the young adult section of this library. And double checking the end of game procedure. Oops, there we go. So I think what we'll do now is we'll each take a turn narrating one of the girls, taking one of the girls' beliefs and narrating a short scene, showing how the girl uses that belief in her real life outside the underground.
Wow.
Ooh.
That's cool.
All right, so we just Judd and I each pick one of our favorites.
Yeah, totally.
All right. Do you want to pick one too, there, Lauren?
Oh yeah, sounds good.
Okay, let's do it. Judd.
Do you have one you definitely want? Like, just pick it. Go for it.
I like strength that's earned is better than strength that's stolen.
Okay. Yeah, that's a great one. I definitely want breathe out your feelings like a dragon breathes out fire.
Do you know what you're doing with that?
I think so, yeah.
Go for it, Judd.
I think there's like this tense dinner where she's back and no one will sit in the dad's seat, right? So it's just like there and vacant and like no one will even look at it. And I think she says like, it makes me sad that dad is gone, but it makes me even more sad that no one talks about it and no one talks about how sad they are. And I don't know what to do to get us talking and make it right. And I think like you don't hear the conversation, but like the camera fades away and you see that conversation starting. Where, yeah, that's all.
That is very cool.
Thank you.
Do you have one that you want to do, Lauren? I think I want to. I mean, sorry, I've watched too many 80s kids movies, so I have to do this. This is like. It's like the freaking point of the movie. Like, you always have the scene that shows the problem at the beginning, and then you have to resolve the problem at the end. I apologize to anyone that's not understanding what I'm talking about, but this is a thing, I promise.
Yeah.
And so I think that there's probably a moment where she's walking home, and she hears the bully with the dog, right? Like, behind her. And she turns around, and, you know, the bully, like, lets the dog go, and it comes, like, barking at her, and she, like, stands her ground, and then the dog slows down, and then it's, like, standing just, like, a couple feet from her, and then she, like, kneels down and looks it right in the eye, and she says, like, I've faced wolves, and, like, the dog, like, you know, quiets down a little bit, and then she wiggles her finger at it and says, Bima's the greatest thief in the land, and, like, the dog, like, finally, like, wags its tail, and she pets its head, and she looks at the boy, and I think we'll like we can leave the scene off there. Like, she doesn't, I don't know if she like tells him off, or like maybe like you know, or I don't know, the two of them could theoretically become friends in the future or something. But like the point is that like he doesn't scare her, and like the dog definitely is not a threat to her anymore, and she can like stand her ground and basically tell him that like maybe she tells him that he's mean. She's like, just because you beat up people doesn't mean that you're cool. And then she goes like, also, I like your dog, and then she like walks away. So
Cool. Which one was that?
strength that's earned is better than strength that's stolen.
Nice.
Your puppy doesn't scare me. Just because you have a dog doesn't mean that you're scary.
Aww.
I've got one.
Oh yeah, please go for it. Yeah.
I think she's in class and they're studying the Civil War, and she's got this really cool history teacher who's brought in all these like primary documents. So they're like letters from soldiers and you know, just all these like primary documents that really make it all come alive. And there's this one kid, I think it's the bully, of course, it's the bully. And he's like, you know, it was about states' rights. And
oh, why you hurt me, Judd?
Yeah, and she goes over and grabs the Confederate Declaration of Independence and puts it on his desk and says, "Show me where it says anything about states' rights in this document." And he's like, she's like, "Wouldn't they have mentioned it in their declaration if it was about states' rights? You're just wrong. Stop it." And like, yeah, some opinions are wrong.
That's very good. I think I do have an idea for use your anger, or don't let your anger use you. I think like we see the shot we see is like darkness and like blackness, and then we hear like the pop of like a stage light cascading down onto like a very sort of like university college like dusty stage for like we kind of see the silhouette of like acting students in the background like watching this performance, and we focus in on sort of like an 18-year-old Faye in like sort of theater 101.
That's amazing. Grown-up Faye.
Yeah. And I think like she is holding up like a mask to her face. It's like very similar to the mask that she wore that she set on fire back in Wonderland or the Underground. And I think she gives that very impassioned speech she gave the Crowing King. And like when she does, she thinks of like all the things that she wished that she'd said to like her missing parent before they left. And her voice like becomes shaky and stronger with conviction as she like gets to the climax of the piece. And then I think she ends on like the masks we wear are always that, and what will always shine through are the values and feelings and principles that make up the fire and the spirit deep in your guts. And if you don't use that, then you're lying to yourself. I think she's like sort of crying. It's like she like leaves on that.
Nice.
Yeah.
So are we supposed to go through all of them or just like one each?
I think that's one each is totally fine. That feels good.
Yeah.
And I think like
I'm sorry, I did too.
Oh, that's totally fine. I love both.
We don't mind, Jen.
So good.
Okay.
I was just wondering if I needed to prepare one. Like that's, I was like, all right, hang on.
It's all good. So I think we sort of like pull back from that, and then pull back into like the Underground and the Crowing with the Crowing King's wake. And I would like to hear I would like to know how we know that magic is restored to the Underground. How the place is healed in the absence of the Crowing King. And then I would also like to sort of get a snapshot of what Bima and Thunderbolt are up to and how they've been affected by this journey.
Judd, if you want to invent what happened to Bima, I will totally tell you what happened to Thunderbolt.
I mean, I think Bima goes on wonderful adventures, right? I mean, I think she doesn't want to settle down. She wants to go out and she's oh, you know what she is? She's the captain of that sky ship, and now she's like sky pirate. That's what she is.
Yes! Sky Pirate Bima, amazing.
Yeah.
Of the
Yeah.
Kiba too.
I definitely think that Thunderbolt is stuck being a speaker of the house. So yeah, I think reluctantly Thunderbolt organizes democracy, so therefore he is definitely voted into office. So he has to like, well, now, hang on. You gotta let this person state their opinion, even if it's wrong. No, wait, you don't. So like, like someone's like, yeah, but like we probably see actually some people from the villages that we recognize, like the woman that baked the lasagna and like, you know, like the mask maker. Maybe Sunbrook was elected from the Bazaar to be their representative. And clearly, what's the backwards? Is it Afe?
Oh yeah, Afe. Yeah.
Afe definitely speaks for the union. But I think there's definitely
That's
a
awesome.
moment where probably there's somebody who's maybe not super great that is given a speech that got elected anyway. Like maybe it's Rose that speaks for, you know, the Mushroom Plains or whatever. And Thunderbolt definitely like listens briefly and then says, "Excuse me, I have to visit someone's bed." Calling back to, of course,
Yes.
very poignant moment in our adventures. So yes, I'm sure to say pungent moment. So, yeah.
If Bima will have Gia would totally be like the first mate or like sort of the like
Oh, that would be wonderful. Yeah,
captain.
absolutely.
I would love to know too. Do Bima and Thunderbolt stay in touch, like, or do they live completely separate lives?
I have the feeling that like they maybe have like a once a year we meet at the tea house that, you know, like Panya runs or whatever kind of thing where Bima tells of her exploits and then like completely balls over Thunderbolt's like commentary on government, but like listens to his stories about the forest or like anything else that he may want to talk about that's like slightly more personal. But I think that they're like on different tracks. Judd, how do you feel about that?
Yeah. No, I think. But I like that they get together like once a year, like to commemorate their adventure and you know, yeah, he definitely like is wearing little glasses now.
Oh,
And
that's so good.
yeah, and they're very very different. But I think yeah, totally. They I don't know. I like to think that they find a way to talk to each other a little bit. Like I don't know, kind of like as if it's Faye kind of coming to peace with different parts of herself.
Oh yeah, totally.
You know, I picture like one snippet of a conversation where he says, "You could get a letter of marque, and then you would be legitimate."
Pirate.
All right. Plausible deniability. Don't tell me anything.
Oh no. You know what they say? They say to forgive is divine, so you can forgive me, and to err is human, which, you know, you can consider me doing, but to R is pirate. Sorry.
Very good, like that's a very good like spin.
Yes.
To like close the book on that story.
Yeah.
That was Girl Underground.
Yeah.
Woo!
That was awesome.
All
right.
right. Thank you so much for playing.
Well, guys, thank you for running.
Ah.
All right, so I guess it's outros and then new game next time. Is that the plan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. Let me start off the outros. My name is Josh. I'm one of the regular streamers here. I use he/him pronouns. That was a blast. It was really good times. Yeah, I'm pumped. It's gonna be fun trying to get to sleep because I have to get up early tomorrow morning to run some Scum and Villainy. But I believe if you're interested in that, we are trying to get through a very weird and dangerous precursor temple. So that's gonna be a thing. And yeah, hope to see you folks for more games. Lauren, take it away.
Yes, I've been Lauren. I use she, their pronouns. I'm at StrayKiwi on Twitter and everywhere else. I have thestraykiwi.com if you want to learn more about my design and editing work. Gosh, it's yeah. I'm buzzing off of this game, so it's hard to like center myself in reality again after that. But yeah, whatever. I'm just doing the thing, doing work, trying to stay healthy, safe, and positive in this world, and I'm very excited to pick up Differ tomorrow. Sad to see Go Underground end, but yes, very happy to pick up my robot who is crystallizing and having lots of feelings about mortality and friendship and human things. I love it. How about you, Judd?
Oh, my name is Jed, he, him. I'm going to write a series of tweets with our, with all of Faye's beliefs in them. Underneath the tweet that was like the scheduling tweet that Sean wrote up for actual play. And you can track me down at either Daydreaming About Dragons, or the other search term that'll get you to me is Githyanki Diaspora, which is my blog. And yeah, either one will get you to the other one. So come on and stop by.
All right. Oh, wait. I had to say one more thing. I'm so sorry. I released the game this week. And by released, I mean it officially went up on our website, so you can download it for free. If you go to offguardgames.com and you go to more games, you can find Yesterday's Tomorrow, which is a like cyberpunk game, but it's like classic cyberpunk. It's like the future as seen through the lens of the 80s and the 90s. It is free. Go get it if that's your jam. Play it with your groups if that's your jam.
But Strash, what if I like Shadowrun more than I like just straight cyberpunk? Will this game curb that hunger?
Well, I should say, Judd, you should just play Shadowrun then. But yes, actually, there are optional rules for Magic and stuff as well.
What?
I know. All right. So yeah,
softball.
I played a cowboy hacker. It was really good fun. They looked just like Irvine from Final Fantasy VIII. I had a blast.
All right, and with that, we'll see you folks next time.
Thank you so much for watching. It was a blast.
Thank you.